just decided to go live again. Didn't make it announcement on Facebook. Just decided to do it. Tony likes to watch while I work on his stuff, so or work on anything. So, and this is for his grandson, so we're gonna do some more live stuff on it. It's gonna be a nice gift for his grandson. So, yesterday I posted on Facebook that I was ready for paint. Rewind, because Tony reached out to me and he's like, "Is there a way we can fit Fat Charizard on this base?" Oh, by the way, for Fat Charizard, since this is technically supposed to be like a pen holder, he had this big hole in his mouth. So I sculpted a tongue, and my attempt at sculpting a little fireball coming out of his mouth. So it's got a little pin, and it sticks in there. So now he's got some fire coming out of his mouth. So it looks a little better. Hopefully that fireball paints up decently, because I'm not a sculptor, but it's my attempt at painting a fireball. But it's something comes, so that's nice. So anyway, back to this. So he wanted to add the Fat Charizard to the scene, and Bond sent me a message saying that he actually he found this base. The base is not part of this 3D file. So we got Charizard, Charmeleon, and oh my gosh, what's this little dude's name? This guy. Oh my gosh, the little dude. I can't remember his name. Anyway, Bond had found this base and basically keyed the base so it would hold these guys, which is kind of cool. So he customized it. So I thought they were all one thing, but Bond set this up so it's like his transformations, his different forms. So we're chatting about the Fat Charizard, because that's a whole separate piece also. And the only way to really get him to fit on here would be to have him on top here, which he fits really nicely, but then I gotta adjust everything down here. So, oh my gosh. If anyone's watching, what's the little guy's name? I can't remember his name, because I don't know anything about Pokemon. We got Charizard, Charmeleon, and this dude. Anyway, I'd have to move everything down. So he would fit fine here on these steps. This guy I could move down a few steps. I have to, drill holes for the feet, which is no big deal. But then this guy, Charizard, wouldn't really fit anywhere because he needs to sit flat. So I'd have to sculpt some different stairs. So what we decided to do is I have some of these rock molds I've had for years. I casted up one of these big rocks. And what we're going to do is I'm going to, let's get these to the sides because I don't damage them since those are ready for paint. I'm going to attach it to the side of the base here, and this is going to be where Fat Charizard sits. So he's going to be sitting there. So we have this little diorama or set of all these different versions of Charizard. So I'm trying to play with how I'm going to attach this so it's nice and permanent. So since I've got resin poured in here, there should be some solid resin I can drill into. This guy's solid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some 1/8 inch brass rods. I'm going to just drill them in, and that's going to be like my stable point. And I'll use some putty, maybe some epoxy. I'll throw some. I got some tape here. I'll just put some epoxy, pour some epoxy in there, and then I'll build this up with putty and sculpt some rocks, and we'll set that aside. And then hopefully it'll look like one continuous piece. And I'm not really worried about making this flat for him to sit. He sits pretty flat, but probably will throw a magnet in here, here and here, so that way he's just kind of stable. Half inch magnet. So yeah, so we got a little bit of work to do. And once that's all done, then I can start painting the little guys. And I'm still looking for. So Tony wants the lightning and the lighting effects to be able to flicker or be solid. He mentioned flickering, but that's like, it's supposed to be a nightlight for his grandson. So if it's flickering, it's going to keep. It's not a very good nightlight. So I'm looking for a way to. I really don't want to do Arduino because I don't know anything about Arduino. But I'm looking for like a controller that I can put on the outside that will allow me to flip the lights from solid to flickering or strobing. And another challenge is that since these prints are hollow, they're full of supports on the inside. And I drilled out all the holes yesterday for LEDs. So these will all now accept 5mm LEDs. in the lightning, in the rock, on the base, and in I drilled holes in Pikachu, but there's supports all in there, so I've got to be able to get through all supports and fish wire through Pikachu's. So that's gonna be challenging. But we'll get there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get this. What's up, Kevin? I'm gonna put some brass rods in this little side base here, so Fat Charizard has a place to sit. And I'm gonna make this one big piece. I did take the primer off of that base. So initially I was just gonna kind of pour resin right here, but that's actually not a very structurally. That's not very. It has much structural integrity. So I need some sort of mechanical support for that. So that's why I'm going to use some brass rods. We're going to pin this together. And it just happens that kind of fits together really well. And I don't care if I see the brass rods right here because I'm going to build this up with some putty and stuff. What's the little guy's name? I forget. I can't remember his name, Kevin. So I know Charizard, Charmeleon, and then for the life of me, I can't remember the little dude's name. What's his name? Charmander. Oh my gosh. Of course. I can't remember. Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. Okay. Charmander. I need to write myself a little note. Okay, so let's drill some holes. Get these guys pinned together. Get that working. So that's actually the second casting. This is the first casting I made, and I screwed up because what I did is I mixed up resin, and I poured it in the rock mold, and it wasn't enough. So I just kept adding resin. Well, don't do that because what happens is that first pour of resin starts to kick off before your second and third pour, and that heat's trying to escape, so it created all these bubbles. So, I mean, this is technically usable. I could sand that flat, but that's like 20 minutes of sanding, so I just casted up a new one, and it's perfect. And then again, that's just that art cast resin, the same resin I poured in the base here. It's just a cheap resin, nothing crazy expensive. All right, so I need 1/8 inch. So let's get a marker so I can kind of mark where I want these to go. So I should be able to start doing some painting today. I was going to paint the base first. But the putty work doesn't have to dry for it. I'm gonna use some Milliput, and that has like a 8-hour cure time. So I'm gonna do a there, here, here. That should get me pretty close. This is just a guesstimate. So this is 1/8 inch, and now I should drill into solid resin here because I poured resin into this base. And again, I'm guesstimating where these are going to go. If I make the holes bigger, I will. Alright, let's test fit that. Let's see if we're anywhere close to being lined up. I'd like to clean out the material as much as possible. Okay, actually lines up pretty good. And it's a little off. Not the end of the world. That's what I can do. So I want to make this flat on the bottom too. So what we're going to do is I'm going to probably actually make that hole a little bit bigger. Like one side's up so I can get it flat, and I'll just fill the hole with epoxy. Okay, now this I can't drill too far because I'll drill out the other side. So I can only drill so I don't want to drill too far into to this side. I'll drill out the other. More than enough. Yeah, I was looking at the when I was looking at the character names. They're all like named very similar. Like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna keep this straight. So I'm doing 2 pins. So I've got some stability. Let's shove that in there. I'll cut that a little short. It doesn't need to be crazy long. Come on. Yeah, so I got 2 pins. Let's see how close I am to lining up. Wow, it's not bad for a pole lock. It's actually pretty damn close. It's actually really close. I got a little bit of a lip right here. I can just take care of that with some body filler. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so now we got these kind of mechanically attached. Let me vacuum up here. Yeah, by the time I epoxy that and do all the putty work, that's going to be really solid. Alright, so cool. You said a lot of things about Pokemon, but I have no clue what you said. Okay, so now we're going to take these rods out. I'm going to scuff them up with some sandpaper. I like to, since brass is pretty smooth, I like to scuff up the rods before I epoxy them, so the glue has something to stick to. And I just use a really coarse sandpaper. So painting wise today, I can only paint in stages because there'll be some masking to do on the little guys. Because I gotta paint their bellies. That's gotta dry, and I need to mask those off. So I may not get a ton of painting done today. We'll see. I could probably paint the bellies and maybe the underside of the wings for the Charizards because I want to mask those off. I think the colors are going to be pretty solid. I don't know if I'm going to do a ton of shading because these are, I kind of want them to look like the cartoon, which is just kind of solid colors. We'll see. Still playing with that idea. Okay, so now I got these rods all scuffed up. I'm gonna mix up some 5-minute epoxy. I'm just gonna glue them on one side. Let that sit for a few minutes. Now I really like this Bob Smith Industries. It's basically all these hobby companies they take a generic epoxy and put their name on it. But I like this because it it's 5 minute, but it really solidifies pretty quick. Where I've got some JB weld, but it seems like it takes forever for it to actually cure. But the thing I don't like about this is that the A and B are both clear. So there are many times where I'll put like the part A in my cup, and I'll get distracted and I'll forget which one I put in my cup. Like, well, shit, and I kind of throw that away because anyway. So I like it when the epoxies are two different colors because I can tell which part I've used. And like, anyway, so when they're both clear, it's just you gotta make sure you don't get distracted as far as which one you put, have used. So I'm gonna mix this up pretty good, and this will start to kick off in about. It says work time is 5 minutes, um, and the more you mix up, the faster it kicks off because again, it's like resin as it heats up, it causes itself to cure faster. So if I mix a big batch of this, you gotta work really, really quick. A small batch like this, I have a little more working time, but it'll start to kick off here in about a minute. And then after about 2 minutes, you're like, you can't do anything with it. Maybe 3 minutes, even though it says work time is 5 minutes. Just mix it up real thoroughly. I have in the past not mixed my epoxy enough, and then it never cures. Like shit, and then you gotta tear it apart. And okay, actually, I probably have enough here I can do. Finally, have a good day. So I'm gonna put some in the holes. I'm gonna put some on the rod. I just want to make sure I get good coating in there. And any ooze that I'll just clean up. Again, this doesn't have to be super clean because this is all going to get covered up with putty and stuff. Let's grab some rock texture. I like to spin. This has to bend down a little bit because it's got to. Okay, so it's a really tight fit, so it's actually wanting to come out of the hole because it's creating some positive pressure on the epoxy. Go. Oops, I totally missed. This is already starting to. I can feel it starting to kick off. So I gotta work quick now. Just bend down a little bit. Get a little twist. Alright, just like that. Desktop is a mess. I got some resin everywhere from yesterday. Stuck everything. It's almost time to buy a new cutting mat. I go through these cutting mats every few years. I just buy a new one because they get so gunked up with stuff. These little mica thinner clean up on my fingertips and just on top there. Yeah, so this has already kicked off. Like I couldn't, so even that little bit, it kicked off pretty quick. But now those are mechanically bound together. So the only way those would come apart is if they broke. So, until the epoxy. Put that to the side. Clean my fingers a little bit. Don't drill. That to the side. This is trash. I'm gonna put my tape down that I had yesterday. So there we go. Make sure it sits as flat as possible. I will put some felt pads under there, which will help even out any unevenness. But also I'm going to use some body filler here. I'll just come in here and smooth that, even that out. So hopefully that'll help. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this set up. Let's do this. Let's get this resin. Put that away. And we got some mill cut. Oops. So mill cut is a two-part epoxy, sculpting epoxy. I use this, and I use the Easy Sculpt stuff. I use Aves every once in a while, but I don't know. Aves. I got the Milliput on sale. Amazon had a really good price on it a while ago. Because this stuff is not cheap. Like a kit of this is about 9 or 10. I can't remember. It's like $10 or $11 for one little set of this. But I got them for like $7 a thing, so I bought a bunch of them. And this will last me several years because I just don't do a ton of sculpting. But A's is expensive. So you just use this as a two-part. Just kind of I guesstimate how much I need. There's that part. I'm going to look at it. And so I can take a little bit more of the gray. The best way to do is really weigh it because it weighs the same. Alright. You don't have to be crazy accurate with your mixture on these. You can be close. Mix it up real well. Alexa, play Pandora.
Gunship Radio from Pandora.
Alexa, volume down. Alexa, volume down. My last two live broadcasts of YouTube blocked because it had Game of Thrones on the background. So hopefully that music isn't loud enough where YouTube flags it. I hate that you can't have something in the background without YouTube flagging it. It's really annoying. Okay, so we're gonna try to make some rock texture. I wish I had some. I may go down and get some tin foil. That's a good way of kind of getting rock texture. You just want to make sure it's really well incorporated. And you want bare resin. I don't know. It might stick to primer. I don't know, but I'm going to take the primer off of this. I got it off on the edge, but I'm going to take it off the top here too, because I'm going to blend this in. I could have done this last night. Yeah, I worked a little bit later than anticipated because Tony mentioned he wanted this another little base for this guy. Okay, so that's mixed up pretty good. Just till it's consistent color. Pack this in. And I like to have a little water on the side because it won't helps it from sticking to your tools. And when this dries, it's rock hard. So right now I'm just worried about kind of filling in that seam, and I'll worry about kind of getting the rock texture here in a second. It's going to be a nice little gift for Tony's grandson, who's just turned 10. Well, I hope he just turned 10, but he's 10. He's going to get him into collecting. And then his parents are going to hate Tony for getting his son into collecting. I'm just really forcing that down into the seam here. I want to fill that in solid. I'll come from the back side too and do it. And this will get smoothed out with some body filler. I'll even this bottom out a little bit. It's off just a hair. It's actually off just enough. I might as well just be able to sand it. We'll see. See if it's smooth. So it's not pretty yet, but it'll be fun when I'm done. Alright, so now we got alright, now you go here and try to make this look like rock. So this putty will start to kick off in about an hour, and it'll get a little harder. And then so I'm gonna kind of get just some random. No, actually, ooh, I got this. I got this little piece of. I can use this as a stamp. Look at that. Sometimes I do things that are smart. I poured a little extra resin in one of the smaller rock molds, which is the same texture as this. I'm just going to use this stamp it into the putty. Look at that. Look at that. Sometimes I do something that's smart. A good way to blend this putty is just get a shitty brush with some water on it. And I just hit the edges and just kind of smooth it out to blend it in. So I'm just really hitting the edges here because I'm going to blend this putty in. I won't be able to sand it at all. I don't want a line there, you know. Pretty quick. It takes a little. Where's that happy one? This is the shitty one I did yesterday. You can use that kind of like a stamp too. Just want some randomness in there. And now it's a little kind of aggressive, so I can go in here with some water and this brush and smooth this out a little bit. Because these are two totally different rock textures. The rock and the 3D print is a lot smoother kind of texture than what's in this casting. That's pretty much it. I gotta let that dry, and then I can I'll say in the next 2 hours, once this solidifies a little bit, I don't want to go in here and start trying to do body filler here until this has had a chance to dry a little bit, or sand this. But I'll probably put some Bondo here and just build that up a little bit and then sand it smooth. But now we've got, you can take a paper towel and add texture. Tin foil works really good, balled up tin foil, because you can kind of adjust depending on how tight you make the tin foil. Alright. So now we got, take these gloves off, I got putty on them. Now I got a cool display for all the different Charizards, Charmeleon, Charmander guys. So I'm going to suggest to Tony when he gets this in to glue these guys on, just make that solid. Oh, I can put a magnet in this. I can probably do that while we wait. And then fat the Charizard there. That's kind of cool. That's going to make a nice display. Okay, let's do magnet. Okay, do I do a 1/2 inch? That's pretty damn strong. I don't need a 1/2 inch. I mean, that's pretty aggressive. The only reason I would say do a 1/2 inch is because he doesn't really have a flat spot to sit. Look at these 1/4 inch. Well, these are what size is this? 5/16. Yeah, that's probably good. So I can use some 5/16 stacked up. So now when I do this, I don't want to go in and drill a 5/16 hole right away. I could get away with drilling a 5/16 in this casting resin because it's just the nature of the material. On the 3D print, you have to work your way up because it could crack the print. It's like, because even though it's solid, it's layers, you know. And is there any weakness? Like when I was drilling the holes in the Pikachu, like some of the print cracked out on the inside of the key because it's the nature of the 3D print. If there's any weak point, it's going to be where those layers are, the layers, just because the way that's the weak point. So luckily when I was drilling the clear resin, nothing cracked out. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to destroy these clear prints. No, actually, I take that back. I had one spot crack out a little bit. It was very minor. I was just using some super glue to fix it. Where is it? I don't know. It's in one of these pieces. I must have fixed it pretty decently. Oh, I think it was on this one. Yeah, it started to crack right here a little bit. But luckily, the LED is going to fit into right about there, and you don't see it. It goes into this far, so you're not going to see that. So the LED and everything will be hidden. So there'll be some assembly for Tony when he gets this, because when I'm going to do this, I'm going to have wires sticking out of the base with plugs on them. Same thing with the LED. There'll be a plug on it, so he'll have to plug it in and shove it in there, and then he can either leave it loose, or I would suggest a little dab of hot glue, so you can remove them like that. And then for Pikachu, I'm thinking about whether I should glue Pikachu to the base. I'm thinking I am, because just because there's not a lot of meat in his feet for a magnet or a pin, and I just think it's better if I glue him to the base later. But I do want to make it so if, God forbid, an LED goes out down the road, that the clear parts can be taken off and an LED can be replaced. So that's why I'm going to use a bunch of plugs. So there'll be some assembly to do when he gets it, but that's my thinking. Okay, anyway, the ADHD brain going off on a tangent. Okay, so I'm going to start off with just a 1/8 inch. Let's take this little fireball out that I sculpted. Something I put a magnet like right here. And that one right in his butt. Yeah, because he's going to sit like this, and I can rotate him a little bit. All the prep work I did looks really good. I went over it a couple more times, yesterday, and filled any. I think everything else looks really good. So I'm gonna just put this in my lap so I can work easier. I'm just eyeballing center on the bottom of this guy. Okay, I'm gonna just work my way up to 5/16. That's a pretty big hole. So I'm gonna go 1/8. I'm gonna go 3/16. I need to get a new 11/64 bit. Mine is either got something on it, or it's just really dull. It doesn't cut. So I'm going to stack a couple magnets on top of each other just so I have a little more holding power. And we're going to really just kind of keep them on there if it gets bumped or something. And I really don't care if I drill all the way through on this guy, because again, I'm going to use some filler to fill it in. So if I go through, it's no big deal. Let's go 7:30 seconds. Oh, I just went through. Like I just said, I don't care if I go through, and I go through. Some of these drill bits are getting really dull because I use them so much. I'd like to get another set of drill bits where I've got smaller steps. I think some really nice drill bit sets where it's like they go up by 30 seconds. And you have like 100 drill bits in one set. So Terrell. So I'll have to do a little putty work on the bottom of Fat Charizard here to cover up the magnet. Alright, now we got okay. Got our holes drilled. And we use 4 magnets, 2 on each side. Alright, so what I do is I just take these and take like a little some sort. Right now I don't care what side is going in. So I'm going to use a little super glue at first. And I'm going to recess the magnet just a hair. So that way I got some room for some putty. Oops, dang it. Didn't allow that to happen. I pushed them down too far. Right there. I want to just recess just a hair. Right there. There's my kicker. Okay, so it's recessed just a hair. I'll be able to putty that and sand it smooth. And for the putty, I'm going to use my talc and super glue. So I'll have a little more cleanup to do on him. Use this. Just got a little. Oh, that's good. Talc everywhere. A little talc, a little super glue. So this will act as my filler and as a way to glue in the magnet. And you can control how thick this is. If you want it to kick off real fast, make it thicker. I want this to flow in there, so I'll make it a little thinner. And don't hit it with kicker, just let it dry, because if you hit it with kicker, you get a bunch of bubbles. But it'll kick off pretty quick here. I'm going to build that up. I'm just going to hold that there for a minute while that dries. So I got a little mound of talc and super glue there. It's going to hold the magnets in. I'll sand that smooth and I'll have a smooth bottom. Once again, I'll reprime this guy. I'll give him another bath and prime him again. Trying to avoid bubbles. I may get some bubbles. I can always hit with some spot primer or spot putty. But as it heats up, it creates bubbles, unfortunately. But it's a good filler. It's a great way to put magnets in. Yeah, hide them. Always try to hide the magnets if you can. Depends on it depends on the piece. Sometimes I don't care if I can see the magnets. Like if it's in an arm socket, I usually don't care. A leg socket, I don't care. But since this technically could be like its own little piece, we're gonna hide it. And this just helps glue it in too. Super glue is like actually not the best thing for magnets because if it's a really strong magnet, super glue is a brittle joint, and if something slams together, it could actually break the super glue joint. So putty or epoxy, but with the super glue with the talc powder, it's a really strong. Okay, so that's hardened up. Yeah, it's gonna have to get another bath because I'm handling it a lot. Use a metal file to begin with, and the the magnet sucks it down because it's metal. But this is just quicker than get the initial sanding with this. Okay. Get the majority of it down. I've got a sanding block somewhere. Where is it? Right here. I'm gonna sand just over my trash bag, my trash can here a little bit. And this is some aggressive sandpaper, so I'll have to go and sand it again with some finer sandpaper. Alright, so that's like perfectly smooth now. And I can come in here and I'm going to clean up these sanding scratches with some progressively finer sandpaper, just so to start with some fine, which is like 320. And we'll go in with some super fine. So even these little simple guys, this is day 3 on these, and I haven't started painting yet. So, okay, so now it's perfectly smooth. And you'll probably see a little bit where the magnet is, but it's fine. All right, so now we're gonna put magnets in the base. And now you don't want to fuck this up. You don't want to get your polarity wrong. The way I do it is I basically put it on my little. I'm using a drill bit, and I go to touch the other magnet. So now it's repelling right now. Right now it's wanting to push away. So my polarity is correct. So when I go to put this in the base, the part that attracts is on the tool part. If I flipped it around, then my polarity would be backwards. So if this is repelling right now, I know that when I put it in, it's right in the right position. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Yep, that's just strong enough. And once I pull them there, and if you bump it, I don't think it'll hold it. Yeah, it actually holds them pretty good. So I tilt it. Now if I could slam this down, he could fall off. But now he's got on there, and you can rotate him. It just kind of helps keep him on the base. Okay, so that's, I'm not gonna be able to get that out, which is good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some super glue around the edges here. Let that run in. So you'll be able to see the magnet on the rock. It's not the end of the world. So I'm gonna push it down a little bit. Maybe I can cover it up a little bit with some putty. That'd be ideal. So I pushed it down a little bit. It should still be strong enough. You want your magnets as close together as possible. But yeah. Okay, that's just the, yeah, that half-inch magnet, that went way too powerful. It'd be like, wham, it would have sucked them down really hard. Okay, so now, still pretty strong. But now, since I recessed that a little bit, I can come back in here with a little bit of my putty. I had a little bit left over. Did I throw it away? I bet I did. Because I'm stupid. I had like a little ball of putty left and I got rid of it. And I'm done. So I'll mix up another little bit of the milliput. Oh no, it's right here. I saved it. Yay. Okay, so I can come in here and just kind of cover this up. And there you go. Here's my brush. That's right. Use this paper towel, crumple it up, and just gonna dab a little texture into that putty. Again, you're not gonna see it, but I'm gonna. There you go. That should work out nicely. I keep sticking my fingernail on it. Don't do that, you dumbass. Okay, perfect. And since I've got a little bit of this putty left over, I might as well throw it on the bottom here and fill in where I drilled through. Again, I'm going to sand this bottom smooth after this putty dries. So the great thing about these sculpting putty, I'm not a sculptor, but like I'm really good friends with the Shiflett brothers. If you guys know who they are, they're really very well-known sculptors. They live here in the Dallas area. I became friends with them a few years ago when they were putting a book out and they were needing some photography help. So I helped them with some photography and they ended up taking photos for their latest book. That came out, I think, last year, a year and a half ago. It's been out for a while now. Anyway, but if I ever need sculpting advice, I just give them a PM and they're like super helpful. But as this stuff cures, the workability becomes different. As it becomes stiffer, you can do different things with the putty. So there's like phases of sculpting. You have your initial really kind of soft phase where everything's really kind of pliable. And then as it gets harder, you can sculpt more into it and it holds the detail more. So it's the same thing when you're working with Aves. As it cures, it has different sculptability becomes different. As it stiffens up, you can do different things. Okay, so basically I'm done with this for now. I gotta put this to the side and let this just dry. In about 2 hours, I should be able to. So this has a cure time of 8 hours, but like for me, like it's really like after about 3 hours, it's gotten hard enough that I can I could probably work on getting the bottom smooth out. So I'd really like to try to get this base painted today, but I don't think it's going to happen. If I would have done this yesterday, if I knew I was going to do this, I would have done this yesterday, and then I'd better get this base painted today. Because the base, I think I can paint in a couple of hours. There you go. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, I think the magnet thing I've done maybe like the polarity. I've done it less than half a dozen times, but man, I have created some serious damage digging magnets out on pieces because you have a brain fart. Like fuck. So you don't definitely do not want to screw that up because you're gonna damage the piece a lot. Um, I get I get a lot of repairs where the magnets are reversed. I've gotten stuff from the factory the magnets are reversed, and I have to tell my clients like, look, I gotta dig this fucker out, and then I have to resculpt all this. So, you know, if you get something from the factory and the magnets reversed, that could create 2 or 3 hours of work, digging it out, fixing it, resculpting. So that could cost my client $100 just to change the magnet. So I tell people like, look, if you, especially on custom pieces, if you get something like, you need to reach out back to the commissioners like, look, I got this from the factory, the magnet reversed, it took my painter 2 or 3 hours to fix it. I need a credit or a refund. Same thing. If I keep telling guys, if you get a pre-painted piece and I get it and it's been painted, primed, and primed, painted, and primed again, and I got to strip it, I think you have to reach out to your commissioners like, hey, look, my guy's got to strip this because there's too much paint on it. Ask for a refund because you're not getting what you paid for. You're supposed to be getting an unpainted kit, and it's the exact opposite. It's been painted 3 times, which creates a lot of work. You lose a lot of detail, and you're paying a lot of money for these things. I think customers should be a little more hold commissioners a little more accountable on stuff. And then the commissioner needs to go back to the factory. Look, you didn't deliver what we had ordered, and go after them. That's my opinion. Okay, rant over. Okay, done with the magnets, done with the putty work. Can clean up a little bit here. Those. Yeah, you have to stop every once in a while just to clean my workbench up because it gets really, really to the point where I can't see anything. So I'm actually going to probably do work on another piece for Tony at the same time. So technically he's got like 3 pieces going. I don't like to do that normally, but since I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be waiting for lighting on Pikachu here, he's going to have me start working on his other Filmies Girls kits. So I've got a Pearl kit that he bought for me because he wants to collect them all now. To the side here. I did a little work on her years ago. And the casting on the one I have is not the greatest. It was like towards the end of the run, so it's got a little bit of work to do. But so I got someone. I got messages left and right. Oh, there's Tony. So you're in. What happened to Capital City? Your Capital City page, man. under another name. Yeah, so I got the base. I got 2 metal rods. You can go back and watch it later, but I've got 2 brass rods, so it's pinned and epoxied. I've got putty here to kind of. So I actually used. I had a crappy casting. I did this last night. I did one casting. I screwed it up. Um, so basically what happened is where is it? I'll show you. I mixed up resin. I didn't mix up enough resin, so I went to go pour more resin on top of the first pour, and the first pour was heating up and it was creating all these bubbles. So I just started over. Anyway, so I put this putty and I basically used this as a stamp to stamp in the texture. So it kind of worked out well. And as this solidifies, I'm gonna go back and do a little bit more. And I just got done putting the magnets in, so this guy will get cleaned up. So he's got a 3/8 magnet, and it's just enough to hold them into place. I don't want to put he's here, and he's not gonna. Now, obviously, you bump him, he's gonna fall off, but it's just enough to hold him in place, and you know you can do all that stuff. He'll get a bath here, and another bath in front of the bottom. And then once this starts to cure up, Tony, when the bottom's it's off just a hair, I'll smooth this out with some filler and sand that smooth so it's all one level. And of course I'll put felt pads on the bottom and everything, but that's pretty much it for that. That's got to dry. So I'm going to go get Fatty another bath and reprime the bottom here. Oh, they have a bathroom right next to my work area with a tub, so you need to wash stuff. There's no primer from yesterday. I probably do. I didn't clean my airbrush yesterday because I was. I'm gonna throw some primer in here. That's what I get for not cleaning out my airbrush yesterday. I'm really bad about that sometimes. Nice white coat of primer on there. Let that dry. Clean my airbrush. So now I'm at a point where I gotta wait for stuff to dry. So what I can do is I can start working on painting the three little guys. So I think so the eyes will get hand painted, the mouths will get hand painted. I think the smart thing to do. So I may get to a point today where I just can't do much more. Because I want to airbrush these guys. I don't want to hand paint them. So when you're looking at something like what you want to painting wise, and I know I'm going to do masking, it's like, okay, what's the easiest way to do this masking wise? So when I was working on the prep, I went and I rescribed these lines that delineate their bellies because they were pretty shallow in the print. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get the bellies painted today, and those will need to dry overnight, unfortunately, so I can mask those, and then I can work on the bodies. Once I get the belly done, because everything's, the only thing that's like tricolored are the Charizards, because the inside of their wings are a different color, from what I saw, and the outside of the wings they're a different color too. I can hand paint that, depending if I want a harsh line or if I want a soft line. So I think I'm getting to a point where, because I can't do the last thing to paint on the bike is probably the little flame tip tails. So I'm gonna get the bellies painted today, and then it's got to dry. So I may only get a half a day's worth of work in the day, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Now, fat guy, his belly is supposed to go a different color, but there's no delineation, like there's no line. So I'll have to make that up myself. But like the inside of the mouth or anything, I think they just go pink. I have to look at the reference photos again. And then in a couple hours, I can work on sanding the bottom of this and priming that. After that, I'm at a holding point. Because I wait for shit to dry. Oh, a new phone. All right, cool. Yeah, so this is gonna look really cool, man. I'm glad. Good idea with coming up with another little base for Fatty. I like it. It's gonna look really sharp. Yeah, he's definitely gonna have something that no one else has for sure. All right, so I need to get my computer because I'm on my phone. I can't see the reference photos I pulled up yesterday for the colors. So I'll be back. Any family to school on Monday? I'm back. So my son is homesick, and we just found out he's got COVID. Yay! Yay for us! So now he's supposed to have a soccer tournament this weekend, so he's gonna miss that, and he's in the middle of high school soccer tryouts, and he's missing all that. So hopefully, I'm not so upset about him missing the soccer tournament this weekend. I'm more concerned that he'll have missed 2 days of soccer tryouts, and technically he's got a whole nother week of tryouts, but like he's not there to show the coach his skills. I mean, I don't know. Either way, hopefully he starts feeling better. He was not in a good mood yesterday. He slept most of the day, and my son is not one to fake being sick. If he says he doesn't feel well, it's legit. Now my daughter, on the other hand, if she sneezes, she's sick. So I don't want to finish setting my computer. Am I plugged in? Yes. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of painting here. It's not gonna be a ton. I don't want to do anything on Pikachu until I get the wiring figured out. I mean, I guess what I could do on Pikachu today is not run wires, but I could work on fishing just a string or something through and having it hang out, because I have to be able to. I gotta figure that out, because fighting through all those supports is gonna be a challenge. Alright, so I was looking at references yesterday. I sent a couple to Tony, and I told him when I wanted to use them. He said that's cool. So, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the community about scammers and stuff. So I belong to a group called Custom Produced. It's a buddy of mine, Dwayne, who's actually a client of mine, runs that page. And he messaged me yesterday, like, "Hey, just want to make you aware that there's someone that may be, trying to soil your name a little bit." And he's like, "Yeah, it's about he bought a kit from you, but then you refunded his money and sold the kit to someone else." I go, "Yeah, I totally know about that." And I go, "This happened," and it's funny because Tony's in here. This is because it was the Samurai Wolverine kit, and when I sold the kit, when I put the kit up for sale, the deal was that whoever bought the kit, I got to paint it because I wanted to paint that piece. So I'm not gonna say the guy's name. He blocked me. I can't even see his comments in the group. I can't even look at our previous private messages because he's blocked me. But basically, what happened is I sold the kit and I sold it for retail. Like I could have probably gotten $3,000 for that kit, if not more. But I sold it for retail because I don't like to flip things. I think it's kind of shitty when people do that. So I think I sold it for $1,800. I think it's what I sold that kit for. So he bought it from me, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like you to paint it." And a couple months went by. I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to wait any longer. So can you mail my kit to this painter?" I was like, "No." It's like the deal was, if you bought it for me, if I sold the kit to you, I got to paint it because I wanted to paint that piece. I wanted the experience of painting it. So he's like, "No, I don't want to wait any longer." So I basically, like, "I'll refund your money." And I reached out to someone else, like, "Hey, I got this kit for sale. You want it?" He's like, "Yeah." He bought it right then and there, and I refunded his money. He was not happy, but I was like, "Look, we had a deal. You backed out of the deal, so here's your money back." So he wasn't happy about it. So he's trying to, say negative things about me. I'm like, he can go for it, man. But I am like 1,000% confident in my reputation. So good luck. So yeah, so Dwayne's like, yeah, he's saying these things about you. He's like, "I know your reputation's good, and like, I got nothing." And uh, so anyway, just a little bit of drama. There's so much drama in collecting. It's like, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous, guys. Come on. Now, there's been a lot of producers lately that have been, scamming people, not producing stuff, not communicating with people. Uh, sure. I'm updating some software. So anyway, this guy's like, and he wouldn't name my name in the group. He just said my initials. Um, he's like, they're like, "Well, who's the painter?" And he just said MM. So right away, everyone knew it was me. I'm like, "Bring it on, come on." I got nothing to hide, man. The guy backed out on a deal, and he didn't lose any money or nothing. He didn't lose anything. So, all right. So that's my drama going on. Not really drama, but I challenge anyone to question my reputation with any of my clients, with anyone. You know, I had one guy years ago. He hired. Oh, he bought. It was a Gundam, actually. I think it was a Gundam. This was a long time ago. No, something else. Anyway, he bought. I had a kit, and he bought it, and he was going to hire me to paint it. And things happen in life. You have to, make changes. Financial situations come up. He's like, "Hey, I need to get a refund on my kit because I can't afford to have you paint." It's like, "Yeah, no problem." It's like, "Well, it's your kit. You're free to sell it. You're free to sell your kit. It now belongs to you." He's like, "No, it's your kit. I just want my money back." I'm like, "Well, it's your kit. If you want to sell it, and I'll ship it to whoever you want to ship it to." And that right away, he's like, "Don't." He's like, "I'll start posting in the groups that you took my money, yada 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 yada." I was like, "Dude, you fucking kidding me?" He's like, "It's your kit. Sell it." So anyway, you know, I was able to sell. I was able to sell it like in 10 minutes. I put it up for sale for the exact same price he bought it for, and it was gone in 10 minutes. And the reply's like, "I refunded your money. I sold it in 10 minutes." It's like all you had to do is do the exact same thing I just did, and like you probably could have made a little money on it because I sold it to you for retail. It's like these guys, like, oh my gosh. Anyway, that's my drama in the industry. Okay, so looking at the reference, I said Tony. So we got Charmander. This little cute dude. He's got like a tan belly and like an orange body. His eyes are black, which is kind of weird. Just black eyes with the highlight. So I'll have to try to paint some anime eyes in there. Some highlights. So I'm going to paint the little tan belly on him. I'm going to know all these Pokemon by the time of this. Charmeleon has like a very light pale rose, like pale pinkish belly because he's pinkish purple. Now, when you look at references for these guys, like anything else, there's 1,000 different references. So you kind of have to pick which one you like the best. Yeah, that's your kid. I didn't want to say your name, but it was yours. But yeah. So that guy that I sold it to originally didn't want to. He don't. I think it was a few months that he. I told him like, "Hey, it's gonna be about 6 months before I get to it." And like a month and a half, 2 months later, like, yeah, I want my, send it to this painter. Like, no, that's not the deal, man. We had a deal. So, so I reached out to Tony, and he's like, yeah, I'll take it. And right away, but by the time he messaged me that he wanted me to ship the kit, by the time I refunded his money was like 20 minutes. It was like literally Tony paid me, and I sent him the money right away. I was like, I sent him a screenshot. Here's your money back. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. I was like, do what you want, man. Get a deal. I want to paint that thing. So half the time, I tell people all the time. I say it over. It's like a broken record. I don't collect. I don't have a shelf full of these things. The few pieces I have on my shelf from years ago collecting dust. I'm actually even considering just taking down my display case in general just because it collects dust because it's in my work area, so I get all this overspray, and I don't have another place in the house to show it off. I got my media room is now my photo studio and client kit storage room, so it's not usable to do anything with. I just like the experience of painting things, and I see something I like, and I don't care what the character is, if I've ever heard of him before. Like, man, that looks really cool. That'd be fun to paint. I just want the experience of painting it, and once I'm done painting, I'm done. Like, I want to paint it. I want to take my photos, and I want it to go somewhere else, and I'm happy. I'm like a happy camper, and my client gets it, and they're happy, and they put it on their shelf or in their collection, and they're like, "This is really cool." It adds to my collection, and I'm like super 1,000%, content with that. Um, and to be honest, I can't afford to collect. So luckily, I have a bunch of clients that can afford it. So yeah, so like I just I see something that's cool, that's why I got into custom stuff. I saw like the Alpha 3 Captain America. Oh, that's really cool. So at that time that I think that kit was like I think it was like $800 or something like that. It was under 1,000 for that kit, plus shipping, and shipping was like back in that day like $150 for it. So you get this really badass. I think one of the better Captain Americas ever put out. Um, and I just want to paint it. So I bought it and I painted it, and then oh, hold on one second. I'm getting a private message from a client. I just so I repainted some stuff for a guy. A couple bases and a little small repair. I'm not sure you like sleep. So I repainted some SUP Studio bases. It was last week, I think it was. He said he had a question. You're not gonna, he's not asking it. Make sure he's happy with everything. So yeah, so like I just like to paint. Again, I don't care who it is, what it is. If it's a cool sculpt, I want to do it. What's up, Raphael? Like I would love to like a Voltron or Transform. Because Voltron and Transformers were my jam when I was a kid. Those are my favorite cartoons. And again, I watched the cartoons as a kid, but I'd have to go back and rewatch them because I don't remember the storyline. And to be honest, when you're 10 and 11 years old, are you really watching it for the story, or are you watching it because you got cool cars and trucks that turn into robots? So it's like. Like doing these Pokemon, it's kind of cool. I would never like seek out to do Pokemon, but I mean these are cool pieces, and we're doing some cool stuff with it. So it's makes the project enjoyable. Okay, so let's look at these little guys here. I need to look up. So now the question is, do I do fatty the same colors as skinny? Um, my initial thought is yeah, because it's the same dude. He's just eating more. This guy's, I don't know, maybe he ate a bunch of other Pokemon. I don't know. Anyway, alrighty. So Charmander and Charizard are basically the same color scheme, except for Charizard, his colors are a little more vibrant. So like the orange is a little orangier, where this is more like can't put my I can't really name the color, but so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do his belly, and then I'll do the same color, and I'll add a little white to it. If I do this early enough, I'm able to mask these off later today, and then get the body color on. I'd really like to get more painting done today if I could. Um, that way I get a full day's worth of work in, because I hate not getting a full day's worth of work. My bank account doesn't like it when I don't work full days. Okay, so let me look and see what I got for colors for him. I may have to actually go to the store. It's kind of like a sandy yellow. What do I have? A bone. Oh, actually, that's that look like. No, that's too. That's not right. It's a yellowish. It's a yellow tone. It's really yellow. It's too yellow. Golden yellow. What's this look like? No, that's got too much orange in it. Medium flesh. No. Have to mix up some colors here. I can see it. That's not quite it either. So to mix something up. It's kind of like the right base, and he's a little more. Add a little yellow to that. Spit it out. The brush is trash now. Well, he said he had a question, but he hasn't come back. So this is Vallejo paint. Now Vallejo dries down quite a bit. You'll put it on, it'll look like one color, and it dries down about a half shade to a full shade darker. So this actually might be a really good shade for that's actually a good shade for Charmander, I think. Actually, it's actually a good body color for him. Okay. There's my cups. Alright, we're gonna have to play some colors here, guys. Again, I don't have to match these exactly to what I'm seeing on screen here. I'm just using it as a reference as far as... I do want it to be close. That's almost white, actually, on him. Okay, this looks pretty good for Charmander. And I'd rather have the colors a little more vibrant than muted, to be honest. So that looks pretty good. No water. Nope, don't honey. I'll be right back. So what I may do, because I think I want to add some shading to these guys. I think I want to give them some dimension. So what I'm going to do for Charmander is I'm going to go ahead and use just medium flesh as a base coat. And I'll highlight with that color I just mixed up. So I got medium flesh. This is Vallejo medium flesh here. It's a really kind of, I don't want to call this flesh tone at all, but it's really yellow. I have used it for flesh tones before. All right. Alright, little Charmander. Okay, again, this is just a base coat of medium flesh. Oh, that's real watery. Water in there. Yeah, it's still too watery. Dang it. How do I do that? Because I just wasted a lot of paint. Let's do this. Let's start over. A lot of times I'll thin my Vallejo paint with Mr. Color Thinner. There we go. So it's really dark for his belly. This actually be a good body color. Okay, gotta make a mental note of that. This would be a perfect body color for him. So I'll use this medium flesh as a body color for Charmander. Let's make sure they're a good coat. Nice even coverage. So, for this long on a project, I've been able to strip paint. Luckily I haven't had too many where I've had to do that. It's mostly on faces where I've gotten, I've spent a day on a face and I'm just not liking what I have. So, and it doesn't that it's been a long time since that's happened because I've kind of now, and that happened a while ago. Because I kind of now have some formulas down for skin tones at least. I've got a kind of like a base where I start and I adjust as I go depending on what the client wants. I've got like a few clients that just like really really pale skin, so like I just skip the washes on those. But I haven't, Now I will say, if Tony's still there, I was working on his Beast print a couple years ago, and I got the base painted one color. He's like, "No, let's change the color of the base." So I went back and repainted it blue. I didn't strip it. I just went on top of the previous color, and it actually worked out really well. But now he's going to send it back to me. We're going back to the first color I had. so, so sometimes people should listen to me because I know what I'm talking about every once in a while. It doesn't happen too often, but once in a while I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, luckily the most I've had to ever go back to is a face or a head. That's never been like a full piece. Now I've switched directions in the middle of a paint job before, but yeah, I would say like the most time I've ever lost is a day, and that was when I was doing a head. And again, that was several years ago. Um, but yeah, it happens every once in a while. Yeah. Sometimes things just aren't going your way. All right, so I'm gonna mix up. I'm gonna use this little highlight color I mixed up a second ago. And I'm gonna highlight his belly. That's the great thing about paint, man. It's just paint. I'm adjusting my airbrush here so I can. Now, one thing about the acrylics, they do dry tip. So I usually, a lot of times I work with the needle guard off, which is not good because, man, I've bent so many needles in the past. But since I got such a small spot to highlight, I want to really limit the amount of paint coming out. So I'm just locking the needle down to a point I'm happy. Yeah, so Charmander is part of this diorama in the background. Can you see it? No, you can't. So, so basically what happened is that I think the Charmander, the Charmeleon, and Charizard are all part of the same like STL package. Bond, the guy who printed this, found this base somewhere else. It doesn't even go with these guys. So what he did is he basically was able to key the base so all these guys fit on there. And then we have Fat Charizard, which just came as he's actually supposed to be a pen holder or like a stylus holder. So there's like there's a big hole in his mouth, which looks stupid if you're not going to use it as a pen holder. So Tony had me sculpt the tongue, And then I sculpted. This is my attempt at sculpting fire. Hopefully, I can paint to look like fire. It'll be convincing. So I did that, and then we discussed putting him on a base. Um, so he's all part of this little diorama. So my initial thought was because when I first got this, oh, he'd look really cool up here. You know, he fits this little circular area really, really well. And then I have to adjust where everyone else stood. And the main problem is Charizard, since he has to sit flat, I have to like sculpt a new stair step for him or something. So we decided on is just adding a base. I had some rock molds. I poured this last night, and I this morning, if you go back and watch this video from the beginning, you'll see how I attached this with some metal rods, epoxy, sculpting putty to sculpt some rock texture, and I added a magnet here and a magnet at the base. So now it just kind of solidifies them to the base, and then we got 4 versions of Charizard. So I'm not. Is Charizard the main guy, or is Charmander the main guy? Like what's the original? So you got Charizard, Charmeleon, Charmander, Fat Charizard, all in one diorama. So that's a really cool setup. Oh, now you're back to Capital City. Okay, so now I got this highlight color in my airbrush that I mixed up that I thought was going to be the base color. And then just add some color to his belly, some highlight to his belly here. Let's see if we get dry tip. Come on. Yeah, a little subtle. So like when we do that base, the beast base again, I'm not gonna strip it. I'm just gonna paint right on top of the blue that's there, and it'll just add another little undertone to it. So it's not like the end of the world, you know. Okay, that looks really, really nice right here. I'm not sure that's showing up in camera. So now I got this kind of bright belly with a little bit of shading around it. Uh, I need a warehouse for I need a warehouse for. Hey, can you send me one of those shipping containers, Tony? And I can park it in my driveway. And I can just you should just load a shipping container and send the whole damn container, and I'll put it in my driveway. That's it. And then when I'm done with it, when I'm done with everything, I'll put it back in the shipping container and send it to you. How about that? Okay, so we got this really. Oh, that looks really great. So I'm not sure if it's showing up on your end. Um, you know what? I don't have a homeowners association, so fuck them. They wouldn't care. Anyway, so we got this nice little highlight in the belly and a little bit of shading around the edges. That looks really, really nice. Now I might go back and add a little more shading around the edges. I think I could use a little more contrast. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna try a little more contrast. If I don't like it, I go back and add a little more highlight. There we go. I want a little overhanded with the highlight, I think. Alright, that looks really good, I think. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. It's probably getting blown out. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do both Charizards the same colors because it's the same guy. He's just one just couldn't put the chips away. All right, so I add a little more contrast. I went back and just add a little more shadow around that belly. That looks really good. Let's put him to the side. Now let me look at. I gotta look at some. I'm just gonna pull up a reference of fatty Charizard because these bellies are gonna be the same color. No, it's slightly darker than. So I'm thinking. He has a little more yellow in his belly. Something I'm gonna mix up. I'm wasting a lot of paint. That's okay. Mix this in. A little bit of that. So there's a guy here in the U.S. I can't remember his name, and if I did, I wouldn't say it. He reached out to me a couple years ago. He owns a company, and he's like one of the few guys in the U.S. that actually has like a bunch of anime licenses. And he's gonna have me do some prototypes, but we couldn't never get. Anyway, I don't think he liked what I quoted him. But then he asked me if I wanted to like work full time for him. I was like, well, that's one thing I would not want to do full time is anime stuff because. It's like you gotta be real. I think you gotta be really, really. I don't know. Anime collectors are crazy, crazy, like crazy picky. I mean, because everything's gotta be super clean, you know. I've done a few anime prototypes, and like we spent weeks just on the size of the eyes of Naruto. It's like, oh my gosh, shoot me. And the differences in size was like 0.5%. Okay, so I'm gonna use this. I'll use this as a highlight. It's a little more yellow. It's a little bit darker. Oh, there we go. Finally. my highlight. That's my base for Charizard. Or not Charizard. Charmander. I think we're gonna mix up all level. So for Charizard, I'm gonna use the same medium flesh tone. I'm gonna add oh my gosh. so, so one of the bases I repainted. He liked the base, but now that he's got the statue on, he doesn't like it together. Um, so it looks like I'm gonna repaint a repaint I did. so, uh, okay, sorry. I get distracted. And any one day I get a crap load of messages. How was I gonna do? I was gonna mix that with some brown. Anyway, so I'm gonna mix a little brown with that, just so I get a slightly different tone. I don't want it to match Charmander. It would be different because it's a little. just going to do both of these in this. Alright, so fatty. Again, there's no lines on, there's no, like, what do you call it? Score marks or lines. So I have to make sure I get enough cover so I can mask. I'll have to just use tape to put the side of the tail enough. And that just goes up underneath his chin here. Let that dry for a minute, and we'll add highlights, and I'll probably go back in and add some more shading around the shadows. Okay. I think what I might do is go ahead and use the same highlight color, bring it up real bright, and then I can go back in and tone it down a little bit. I don't know. Mix some more of this up. Yeah, so I've done a few like commercial pieces. I've done three, and like one thing they ask for is once you're done paintings, they want samples of all the paint you've used. I'm like, that makes no sense because I can't give you a sample of paint because it's 12 different layers. So, uh, but if it's in the lacquer, oh, like if you're doing touch ups. So, yeah, so what I do is I do all my touch ups at the very end after everything's been sealed and I'm happy with everything. Actually, what I do is I actually have a bunch of shitty craft paints, like the cheap ones from Hobby Lobby, and I just mix up colors to match. So because I do a lot of the same characters, I have a pretty consistent. So I just mix up an acrylic to match. Now I have used Mr. Color paints to touch up sometimes if it's very small. You can thin it and be careful. You just gotta, yeah, like you said, if you have too much thinner, it'll strip the paint. So, but when I'm using, if I'm touching up the lacquers, never brush. Always stipple. Even when I'm doing with acrylics, you want to stipple it on. You want to do like dot 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 dot. Like if I'm touching up a face, let's say I'm working on a face, and I get something on there, or I screw up, and like a lot of times, sometimes when I'm going to like clean up I seal everything, so I'll use a damp Q-tip to scrub like something off. Sometimes I'm a little too aggressive and I take the paint off. It's like shit. So I just go in there and I stipple. You want to go in there and you want to go stipple with the paint, and just, you can blend it out. So you start where you need to touch up and just blend it out. Same thing with the lacquers. You can thin it and just real slowly stipple it on. But I rarely brush when I'm doing touch-ups. It's typically stippling. Because the motion of brushing, creates friction. So I want this to be similar to Charmander, but not exactly. It should be a little darker. Because they're kind of the same color scheme. There's different values of it. So that's perfect. So we got Charmander here is a little bit brighter, and Charizard's a little bit darker. Look at my reference; these are a little darker overall, but um, it's okay because we want to. I was talking about commercial work. So then they want like a sample of the colors you used. But that's impossible because it's the base color with 30 other little layers on top of it. So it's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. I may brighten this up a little bit more, and I may brighten up Charmander a little bit. Excuse me. so I don't want your acrylics stay dry tip. Yeah, this needs to come up another level. And I may hit Charmander's belly with some white. Straight up white. I feel like this is a little dark. That's a good base coat, I think, for that. This stuff dries down quite a bit. Actually, what I could do is I could add a little white. A little more white. Yeah. Try some more. I'm gonna go get some more. When things slow down, you gotta start custom mixing paints because you're just playing with it, spraying it. You gotta let it dry down to see what it looks like. So, I was doing a piece for a guy a couple of years ago. He had a piece sculpted with his wife's face as the sculpt, and I think he was, I don't know if he was gonna produce it as a kit, but he sent me all these Pantone colors, which were those are relatively easy to match. When it came to painting the face, it was really small, like 1/6 scale, and it was really small. Even for 1/6 scale, small. But basically, there's two face sculpts, like just one like normal, and then one where the she's supposed to have like a frown, like she's like squinting a little bit. And so I painted. It's like, well, it's like, well, I don't see the expression in her face. I go, well, because it's not sculpted in there. Like there's no wrinkles. So he kept sending me photos of his wife's face with the expression that he wants. Like, well, that's not in the sculpt. I mean, I can try to get that a little bit with paint, but she was wearing a mask for one thing. And like, so you need to revisit your sculpt. So he had the sculpt redone, and it was a little bit better, but it was challenging because he wanted one thing, but and I can only do so much with paint, especially when there's hardly any skin showing. Alright, so I'm just doing another highlight color here for Charmander, or for Charizard. I'll get these names straight eventually. Okay, that looks a little more appropriate for him. Yeah. Alright, Tip, I hate it. I think I just bent my needle. Are you freaking kidding me? Ugh. Okay. We're gonna get there eventually, guys. It's taking a little bit longer than anticipated, just for these fucking billies. This one dry tip. That's why I don't like acrylic so much, because they dry tip so easily. Ah, come on. Just work. It sprays for about 2 seconds and then clogs. Or it just comes out in one big, just like that crap. Oh, son of a bitch. Ah, damn it. I just can't, just shit out of everything. I got plenty of water in there. It's just not spraying. Just backed off and okay. There, I think that's Charmander's belly. I say that, but I may go back and I'm having a hard time getting what I want. He should be brighter than this guy, and he is a little bit. Trying to get some shape in here. It's actually really, when it's this simple, it's actually hard to get any shape in it. It's counterintuitive, but um, man, I'm really struggling here, guys. This is not going. It's just my paint's not spraying. It's really causing problems. If it would just come out when I needed to, I've been doing this a long time ago. Ugh. Either it comes out super, super wet or not at all. Okay, I think I'm finally happy with that. Let that dry. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Look at that compared to Charmander. Yeah, so we got a nice white, so same color family, just slightly different tones. I think we're finally there. My gosh, that was a fucking nightmare. That should have taken like 10 minutes. But I think that looks good. So Fatty's got some detail on his wrinkles. Got a nice little highlight slash shadow on the bellies. Okay. We gotta let that dry long enough. And I'll seal it. And then the Charmeleon is kind of a pinkish color. That should be go. That should go. That should go quick. I say that. I don't know what to do. Alright, share a million. Let's see what I got for. Actually, I have a perfect color for that. Okay. It hasn't been mixed in a while, so I'm going to give it a good stir. This is just Centaur. This might be the perfect color for his belly. I'm doing it real slowly because it's kind of thin. This is spraying better than the other color was, at least. Okay. And then to that, add a drop of Vampire Red. Or shadow. You were spraying so good. What the hell? You gotta dry tip, you little shithead. It has like the perfect color. Marshmallion. Cute little pink belly. That's perfect. That looks really good. Look at that. That's how long these others should have taken. Perfect. All right. Got one little snafu. I'm gonna fuck this up because I can't leave well enough alone, but it's bugging me. So. Okay, stop. Don't mess with it anymore. uh, I'm gonna blend that edge a little bit more. Okay. That looks pretty cute. All right. So clean this all up. And I'm going to seal all those. And then we'll see what they look like. And hopefully the belly's on. All those look fine. And then I won't do anything with those until Monday, asking wise. My weekend just freed up because my son's supposed to have a soccer tournament. He's got COVID, so he can't play soccer. So technically I can work this weekend. We'll see. I think I'm going to play video games instead. I don't work on the weekends that much anymore. I used to work on the weekends all the time. I was like, man, it's just not worth it. I just think. Once in a while I'll be up here and I'll be doing something. Like, oh, I'll do something, a little something, but it's good. I don't work on the weekends that much anymore. Let's see how this putty's doing on the base. It's been a couple hours and maybe I'll prime it. So that's been about what, 2 hours, and that's already pretty hard. I could probably sand that a little bit. Let's see. Yes, but the milliput's an 8-hour cure time. But man, after about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, I start working it because it's hard enough. You can sand it and do all that stuff. Okay. So now I'm going to do I'm going to take some body filler and just even this out. I should really move Pikachu out of the way. I don't want him getting too dirty. I'm going to move him to the staging area behind me. These guys, I got some paint on. I'm going to let the paint dry on those bellies a little bit, and then I'll seal it. mask if I want to work tomorrow. I can mask them off. Oh, yeah, they're looking good now. It took a while, man. I was struggling there for a little while. I'll show you in a minute. I just cleaned out my workbench to work on these. I was having a hard time getting the paint to spray the way I wanted. I'll send you pictures. I'm gonna let them dry for a little bit and seal them. I think the color's gonna. So I just got the bellies done. I need to seal them and let those dry so I can mask them. If I was a mini painter, I could just hand paint everything, but I just don't have those skills to do that. I have some guys that can hand paint those beautifully just by hand. Alright, so we're gonna just kind of smooth out the bottom here a little bit. These two bases meet. Try to get it even as possible. So some filler and sanding. I thought I was done sanding on this thing. This project. Sand a little bit more off there. It's gonna take a couple of rounds of this to get this evened out. There, I'll let that dry. Alright, so let us dry until I can show you what I got for. Alright, so for Charmeleon, we got nice pink belly, some shading for Charmander. Pretty bright white tannish belly with a little shading around it. Hopefully it's not getting blown out in camera. We'll see. And then Charizard, same color family, just about half a shade darker. Again, a little highlighting. And the same thing on Fatty over there. So I think it's going to work nicely. So I'd really like to get, man, I'd love to get this base done today. That'd be awesome. Let's see. I think I can because this putty's drying pretty quick. I think I get this base done today. Then I feel like I accomplished something. But I want to get this bottom. So when I put these together, this base just was like a 64th of an inch off that other edge. Again, I was just kind of having to guesstimate where to drill holes for my pins. But it's closer than I thought I'd get it. So I'm going to build this up with some body filler on this end, and I'll sand this pretty damn smooth. And again, I'll put felt pads on the bottom of it, so even if it's off a little bit, it'll still sit flat. But we want to make it as nice as we can. Oh, this stuff's gonna be a headache. Usually Bondo doesn't give me a headache, but it's gonna be a headache today for some reason. So I'm gonna let that dry for a minute before I mix up another batch and put some more on. And I may go outside and sand it. I won't use a power sander. My power sander, I've got like 36 grit paper. Yeah, the base is gonna look really nice, man. I'm watching a video in a custom group. They're showing the assembly of a piece that it's ready for shipping, and I watch how these factory workers put this together. I'm like, holy shit! If I did that, shit would break. The way they handle it, I'm like, I'm so careful when I'm putting stuff together. They're like slamming it on the base, shoving it in there, using that, just shoving stuff in. Like, damn, how come when we do that, the stuff breaks? Okay. All right, I can put some more on there. Fill it up again. I'm not gonna sand this. I'm just gonna. Well, I'll sand it just for a second. I'll smooth it out just a little bit. I'll take too much off. I'm sanding over my trash can. Sanding over my trash can. You guys are interested. Nothing exciting. Just keep the dust down. Okay, I'm going to do another round of that filler, concentrating on the little base and that little gap right there, and then we'll get it pretty damn smooth. That's trash now. Time for some more Bondo. This is scraping the bottom of the barrel, literally. It's getting dried out. This will take a little longer to cure because there's not much hardener. There's much hardener in it, but it's alright. get me there. That dry. Hopefully that gets me flat enough. My hands are going to seal those other parts, and then it's the waiting game. Wait for stuff to dry on the base. That seal those parts. Alright, so those have been sealed. Can't do anything with those today. I just gotta wait for this Bondo to cure. It's gonna take a little bit, a few minutes. They reinforce with a video like fast food with their burgers. What that means. Okay. So I probably got at least 10 or 15 minutes before I can do anything with this Bondo. So you guys are welcome to hang out if you want. I'm just in the waiting game now as this dries. bit while it's still soft. Okay. Does anyone watch the show? Is it Foundation or The Foundation on Apple TV? I started watching that the other day. Man, it's really good. Oh, to wait to seal for after lacquers. I like to let the lacquers sit for at least 15, 20 minutes. I have run into problems where I've tried to seal them too quick and they've wrinkled. Acrylics you can actually seal faster. It's counterintuitive, but they actually dry faster because there's water. It's water based. Another thing is make sure that your sealer is shooken really, really well because in the past I've gone, I'll just even on lacquers that have been dried really well, I'll go spray it without shaking it, and then you're just getting the solvent, and then you're screwed. Then you're stripping paint. Yeah, it's on Apple TV. I think it's called The Foundation. Foundation. It's really good. It's kind of hard to keep track of at first, but that's where I watched the show The Silo. Ooh, that's a good one. Can't wait for season 2. Hey, Les, what's the code that was just sent to you? What was the code that was just sent to you? Thank you. I'm going to put that on my computer here while I wait for stuff to dry. It's one of those shows where you can't have it. You have to really pay. You have to. It's called Foundation, not the Foundation, just Foundation. It's really good. Yeah, sci-fi. It's a sci-fi show. It's really hard to describe. I only found out because at Wonderfest, there's a guy there, a model builder I follow. He's very talented. He scratched, well, I shouldn't say scratch built. He 3D printed and built one of the spaceships from there, and it was beautifully done. And he actually won national IPMS contest, which is crazy to think that a sci-fi entry won best of show at IPMS because those are all tank and plane guys. But yeah, that's good. But it's something you got to pay attention to because there's like multiple timelines and like one of the main characters is called the Empire, and it's basically three guys, but they're all clones of each other. So you have a young one, a middle one, an older one, and as the older one, they just keep repeating as far as taking the role of like leader of this world. It's always the middle-aged one is like the leader. The young one is being brought up and being trained, and the old version is like kind of being weeded out, and they, eventually he dies, and they just keep cloning themselves over and over again. So it's the same clone over and over again. There's always three of them, and the young one's called Dawn, the middle one's called Day, and the old one's called Dusk. So it's brother Dawn, brother Day, brother Dusk, and they're the Empire, and they're the rulers of this one particular planet. But yeah, it's really good. At the end of the second season, second episode, I was like, holy shit, what the hell? it's like it's one of those like you like stuff happens like what? Okay, well now what? But there's multiple timelines that kind of go on. There's a lot of bouncing around, so you really have to pay attention. I think I'm on episode 5. Yeah. Okay, I can sand this a little bit. As the Bondo dries, you can, before it gets really hard, it's a good idea to go in there and do a light sanding, and it just gets rid of. The only problem with doing like this is it clogs your sandpaper up really, really fast, and then your sandpaper's no good. But you can go in there and kind of get an initial smoothing of it. So I'm sanding over my trash can. Not that you guys can see it, but just so it keeps the dust down a little bit more here. So I'm concentrating my sanding on this side because this is the high side, and then sanding into the other base so it hopefully blends. I don't want to take up too much material on that end. Projects like this are fun because I actually get to do some real modeling. It's not just painting. So I get to, do some customizations, get to, some problem solving. It's a nice change from just painting, every once in So I get to do some actual model building, modeling, casting, figuring things out. I mean, I love painting, but it is nice to, that's why when I did this Azabi earlier this year, it was a really nice change of pace. I haven't done that in like 7 years. What was it? Maybe 6 years. 2018 was the last Gundam I did. So it's been a while since I've done that. It's like, it's a nice change of pace. I don't know if I could do Gundams full time. People wouldn't want to pay me what I would charge for them. I'd only be able to get like 6 projects done a year, 7 projects done a year, maybe 7, depending on how big it was. Okay, I'm going to change out my sandpaper and get a clean piece of paper. I watched that last night. Or did I? Yeah, I did. I guess I get to put my screen up on my computer since I have it here. I've watched watched it a few times actually. I don't have Paramount or whatever the streaming service is, but I was wanting to watch. You can watch the first season for free, and I was trying to watch the second season again because season 3 is about to come out. So I was trying to get caught up. So I need to. Yeah, From's really good. It's very similar to kind of like Lost, which I loved. Oh, it's nice and smooth. Okay. That blended in the other bits very nicely. So when you're sanding filler, you want to see this nice soft feather edge like this. And of course, use my hand to feel it to see how even it is, and I'm not feeling any hump or anything there, so. I think one of the best sci-fi shows in a long time was Fringe. I love Fringe. I wish I would have done another season or two, change the story a little bit, but I started to watch the X-Files again the other day. I hadn't seen that show in forever. I actually forgot a lot about it. My wife was starting to watch it. Oh, I haven't seen that forever. And that's actually a really good show. And it still holds up, I think. It's feeling really good. And I'm gonna switch this to, and keep this piece of sandpaper because I can use that later on. I'll just fold it over. Let's switch to, what do I have here? 220, 60, like that. I had some 220 one time that I don't have anymore. 120. Alright, switch to 120. That feels good. Nice and smooth. This edge I'll just kind of come in here and round this edge off a little bit. And then so get chalk pads and everything. Yeah, so pretty good. I mean, I get up at 6. I got my alarm set for 6:15, so that's what I typically get up. Yeah, I need to. Since Owen is home sick with COVID.